Everyone knows the classic Goblin green base that's been having a bit of a renaissance in recent years, but the real connoisseurs know that the best era for basing was the turn of the millennium and the change from 5th to 6th edition fantasy. Green rims and sand-coloured tops. Iconic. I recently finished painting a warrior priest for my Empire army, and thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you how to recreate that iconic 6th edition base style. All you need is a model, some PVA glue, some sand, some static grass, and you can see from the price here how old mine is, and some paints. We're going to begin by covering the top of the base with PVA. Make sure to use an old brush here, as this is going to destroy the bristles no matter how thoroughly you wash it afterwards. Try as hard as possible to cover everywhere, even under any cloaks or all the bodies, but don't get any on the model itself. When you have a good, thick, even layer, and whilst the glue is still wet, dunk the model in your basing sand. Any fine sand will work, but I prefer to use one that also has slightly larger gravel pieces in it for variation. I place my sand in a ramekin, as it makes it easier to access here. Get the base covered and then tap it to shake off any excess sand. You can also use a clean brush here to brush away any sand particles that have stuck to the model itself. Give that a good few hours to dry completely before moving on. Now that that's dry, we could begin to paint the sand, but I like to make it as secure as possible. So I heavily water down some PVA and paint that over the sand as a second layer to really secure everything in place. Again, give this several hours to dry completely. With all that done, the sand is ready to paint. Now here's where contrast paints are an absolute godsend, as they soak beautifully into the sand and mean you're not struggling to get it into all the nooks and the crannies. I use Wyldwood and quite literally just splodge that all over the sand, letting it soak in and spread out. Again, give this lots of time to dry before moving on, otherwise you'll make a mess of the next steps. When that's dry, we can start the highlight up, which we'll be doing with several progressively lighter dry brushes. Firstly, a heavy dry brush of Steel Legion Drab, then a lighter dry brush of Tau Light Ochre, and finally a very light dry brush of Screaming Skull to pick out the very edges of the sand. Now we could leave it there, but I like to take the painting one step further, to really make the base feel like it's part of a believable landscape. Those larger bits of gravel in the sand make really convincingly sized rocks, so I paint them as such, beginning with a base coat of Dawnstone. Then, I begin to pick out any edges and high points with Ulthuan Grey, and finally spot highlight the very tops with White Scar. And there we are, the sand is complete. The next step is to place some static grass over the surface for that perfect retro Warhammer look. This is really simple, just place some patches of PVA where you'd like the grass to sit, and then pinch some static grass and sprinkle it liberally over those areas. Turn the model upside down and tap the base to shake off any excess. Do a second application if any of the glue is still showing, then let that dry. All that's left to do at this point is that classic green rim. I'm lucky enough to have a pot of the original Goblin green from the 1990s, showing my age slightly there, but Warboss green would work just as well. Either way, to make my life as easy as possible, you should paint the rim first with a light neutral colour so the green covers better and requires fewer layers. For this, I'm using Rakarth flesh, as it just covers really well with one coat. And then, the main event. Oh, just look at that green. That is nostalgia in a bottle. Paint your green of choice all over the rim. And then we're done. Painting bases this way is a real nostalgia trip. I hope you found this video useful or even just interesting. I plan to do a whole series of videos on different base types and eras, so please do leave a comment below if there's anything in particular you'd like to see. Otherwise, please do like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It really helps the channel grow and I appreciate it so much. I'll see you next time, but until then, happy painting.